Melbourne on top with Melbourne and Collingwood, West Coast, Adelaide, Carlton, Fitzroy, Geelong, Sydney, Brisbane. Well, it's easier to just name the sides from the bottom, isn't it? And have a look on the bottom there, folks. Yes, it is. OK, now let's check some of the highlights in yesterday's round. First of all, at the MCG, some pretty rough stuff. Brett Lovett and Hills.
Todd Bond. Oh, free kick. Free kick will go the way of Melbourne.
A pretty crude tackle on White there. Bombers, the reigning premiers, and Ross Glendinning. The question is, are Essendon gone? G-O-R-N.
Well, I wouldn't say just yet, Rex. They were in a similar position last year and they managed to come through and do very well. They have, I think, just lost a few players in form, and a few of the younger blokes who carried them through the bulk of last year just have missed out on their form, and the inconsistency that often comes with the young blokes is now showing a little. And some of their senior players, Salmon's always singled out, but he was very ordinary yesterday, and the other bigger fella, Somerville, a non-contributor. Harvey was very consistent at centre-half back, but other than that, Hurd a good start in the first quarter. But Melbourne, overall, their just team performance was terrific. Every line had players winning. Their ferocity at the ball and then to tackle Essendon was just terrific. And the little things, tap-ons, Shepherds, Smothers, I mean, it just was a great team effort, and I think they're going to cause a lot of teams a lot of trouble and finish very high on the ladder.
What would you say, briefly, is the big difference between Melbourne last year and Melbourne this year?
I just think they have got a bit more stability in the side. And the other good thing, Robbo, too, they did it yesterday without Gary Lyon, but the fellows like Meats, Schwarz are slowly fitting in nicely. The Phoebe boys yesterday were just outstanding. They're mid-sized players, they're sort of they're 6-footers. Very good. I mean, they can take an overhead grab. They're good skilled players. They're very strong. They're courageous. And that's the sort of player these days that's getting the ball moving through the centre.
Roscoe, the Essendon forward line had only one winner yesterday in Hurd.
For a quarter and a half.
For a quarter or so. Would you persevere with Flood and maybe put Paul Salmon in the ruck, because he needs to
Well, I've always been inclined to have Salmon in the ruck more often. I know you need a target down at full forward, but Flood is an option there. I think he's probably played his best footy in the back line. But, I mean, yesterday, all those moves that Kevin Sheedy often makes that often win games for him didn't work because players were out of form.
One did look as though it would work. Robert Louis Stevenson went to full back.
Yeah, I think he's a very big chance, I think, Bob. He's got a lot to learn. He's very young, but he's a bloke you've got to be persevered with.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Could Fletcher go out the ground further, or...?
I would have him out the ground, but then how far out, Bob? You've got Harvey at centre-half back. Yeah. Where are you talking about? I mean, if you go to centre-half back, where do you put Harvey? On a flank? Perhaps not.
Don't discuss positions with Bobby, it's just a bit...
Well, what about if we go to centre-half forward?
Yes.
But you got Hurd there, so where do you put Hurd?
Well, why don't we put Salmon in the ruck and try and do something with Salmon, perhaps?
Yeah, but I mean, for stability and for the young kid to give him a chance to settle in the footy, Bob.
OK.
Who, Salmon?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. OK, before we get your votes for the Challenge Bank Player of the Year award, our cameras went into the Essendon rooms and our people spoke to Kevin Sheedy after the game.
No, Melbourne are a pretty good side. You know, they've been coming on late last year. I think they always one of the really quicker sides coming on at the end of 1993, and their performances so far have been excellent. You know, we've once again only kicked the 9 goals, so we're probably not going to win many games kicking 9 goals, and I think that really that game will still probably hold us in good stead. You know, hopefully we'll get a benefit out of it. Other than the 4 points, but it wasn't a thrashing. We've just got to make sure we can pick up 4 points desperately for the club.
OK, the Channel 7 Player of the Year is an absolute ripper, 20 grand. And Roscoe, your important votes for the Melbourne-Essendon game.
Yes, well, the Phoebe boys were terrific yesterday. Matthew, I thought, was the best player on the ground, and closely followed by his brother Steve, and then Brett Lovett, who just had an enjoyable role through the middle and going forward, kicked the ceiling goal yesterday and was just outstanding.